It's now time for Remember When with Uncle John. John Guess, Ouachita County's resident storyteller and local historian. Sit back now and enjoy a walk down memory lane as John recalls the days of yesteryear in his own unique way. You never know, some of it might even be true. So here's Uncle John, along with his trusty sidekick, Kelly Blair.
Back on Remember When with Uncle John. Well, here we are, Wednesday, hump day. That means it is Wassailing Wednesday around here on the Remember When with Uncle John show. What you got for us today, Johnny?
Well, first off, I got a couple of pretty important birthdays.
Lead off with some birthdays.
The first birthday is my sister-in-law, Miss Teresa Perry, one we affectionately call Aunt Ree.
Absolutely.
Today is her birthday.
Nice.
Want to wish Aunt Ree a happy birthday.
How does she feel about turning 39?
I think she's happy about it.
Okay, there you go.
And the other one is pretty special to me, Miss Lana Marie Meadows. Today is her birthday.
Very cool.
Want to wish Miss Lana Marie a happy birthday.
Nice.
And along with Aunt Ree, I hope they both have the most wonderful days of all possible.
Well, there you go.
And we're going to talk about Hoyt Richard Murdoch.
Hoyt
Richard Murdoch, affectionately known as Captain Redneck, Dick Murdoch.
Absolutely. There you go.
One of the greatest natural talents of all wrestling time.
He was a character now.
Born in Waxahachie, Texas in 1946 to Frankie Hill Murdoch, a wrestler who was in a perpetual lifelong feud with Dory Funk Sr.
I did not know that he was a second-generation
wrestler. When he and Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr. were little boys, they played in the concession stands. They rolled popcorn down the seats, the bleachers and things, and all the gyms and places that their daddies wrestled. And the thing about Dick Murdoch is the one of the things that's the most wonderful story about him is he never went to college.
Yeah.
He never went to college a day in his life, and he convinced, most of the great wrestlers from Texas went to West Texas State.
Oh, yeah. Big football stars.
Big football stars. Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Bobby Duncombe, Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody. All those people went to West Texas State University, and that's where they got involved with wrestling. Dick Murdoch barely got out of high school, but he never attended college a day in his life and convinced them at West Texas State that he ought to be in the alumni football game.
There you go.
And played football in the alumni football game and never went to college a day in his life.
That's all you need to know about the man.
But he broke out. He debuted in 1965. He was trained by Killer Carl Cox and Bob Geigel and Pat O'Connor. And then in the late 60s formed the Texas Outlaws with Dusty Rhodes.
None other than Dirty Dusty Rhodes.
And they took the country by storm. They went to Australia and got rich, got famous. They came back, later on in the early part of the 70s. Dusty went solo, wanted to become the American Dream. And Dick Murdoch just kept on being Dick Murdoch.
There you go.
And he was, the NWA actually wanted to put the strap on him. They wanted to put the belt on him, but they couldn't depend on him because he enjoyed having too much fun.
Absolutely.
He would not, he would be having a great match and then decide to moon the crowd. And the guy was just a natural talent when it came to wrestling. He had the ability that just comes natural with a natural athlete. I saw him wrestle in Shreveport and Little Rock numerous times. The guy was a phenomenal athlete. Never lifted a weight in his life.
That's for sure.
Never worked out. Never ran a mile in his life.
Definitely did plenty of curls, but not with weights.
But the guy was just a phenomenal natural athlete. But,
he didn't look like an athlete.
He didn't look like it.
He never went by the moniker Pretty Boy or anything.
But he could match anybody hold for hold. And if you made him mad, he'd go out and put a headlock on you for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But later on in life, when he started, winding, he competed in rodeos, a lot of rodeos, which is what he did the last day of his life. He was in a rodeo, and that night he had a heart attack and passed away.
Wow.
In 1996. But he had a job for Coors. Coors hired him as a spokesperson. And all he had to do was go to rodeos and drink Coors beer and buy Coors for people and promote Coors.
There you go.
And he goes to the Coors office and tells one of the guys there that he wants his truck washed. And the guy gives him some lip. And Dick Murdoch puts the brain buster on him.
Wow.
And gets fired from Coors, but he never spent a day worrying about it. He had a bar in Canyon, Texas, called Dirty Dick's Dive.
Wow.
And it's still there. I haven't been there yet, but I'm going one of these days.
Right.
His son operates it now. Canyon, Texas, which is where Terry Funk lives. But one of the
that's way down West Texas way.
Yes, way down West Texas.
That's a trip.
But one of the great natural talents of all time, one of the greatest, most entertaining wrestlers of all time. He was good whether he was a face. He was good whether he was a heel.
No doubt.
And one of the greatest of all times, Dirty Dick Murdoch.
Absolutely.
Captain Redneck.
Captain Redneck. That's one of the great nicknames,
one of the
monikers.
Great gimmicks of all time.
All
Captain
time.
Redneck.
We're teamed up with the Junkyard Dog
That's
in
right.
Mid-South. All
That's
right.
right.
That's going to wrap up Remember When with Uncle John here for today. But you know what? We still got 2 more days to go, and we're going to make them count. Be sure to tune in to Remember When with Uncle John tomorrow and Friday, and you can hear us talk about all of our great sponsors, including ProMed Ambulance Service, Sherwin-Williams House Paint, The Shopper's Guide. We want you to listen to the entire morning shift with JJ and Doc while you're listening in for the Remember When with Uncle John show, and you can find the morning shift and Remember When with Uncle John on our podcast with Apple Podcast and Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, anywhere you can find them, including YouTube and Facebook. I guess we'll see you tomorrow, John.
See you tomorrow, Cal.
You've been listening to Remember When with Uncle John on Y95. This broadcast can be heard each weekday morning at 6:45 on South Arkansas's favorite station, Y95.